Okay, rare albums. More rare albums. I didn't slick back the hair in this episode because, well, I'm in quarantine, so there's really no sense in getting nice. I am going to cover this up here. Oh, and before we can go any further, there we go. Now I'm ready. Hello, Internet. This is Olin from What I'm Listening To. I'm finally here. I'm out of my old apartment. I'm into the new apartment. I got the CD shelves up and running here, so I am not in bed. I'm on my full set, and I am here to bring you even more rare albums. This is going to be the third installment to my rare and hard to find CDs series. I love making these. I love looking up information about these CDs. I love giving you the facts, giving you the statistics. It's super nerdy, but I have a lot of fun doing it. If you haven't done so already, I recommend watching at the very least the first part of this series. That's where you will see what defines a rare CD and all that kind of fun stuff. But I will reiterate the stipulations I'm putting on these CDs. The first one is it has to be an official release, so no bootlegs are allowed, even if the bootleg is rare. And I am also not allowing reissues unless the reissue is just as rare as the original. I also want to apologize ahead of time if you hear any yelling or footsteps in the background. It's because my landlord's kids are also quarantined, so they're home yelling at one another, so not much I can do there. So, with all that being said, let's get into it. And the first CD I have for you today, I have the Yellow Swans Being There. This just might be the very last thing the Yellow Swans put out. This was originally released in 2010, and it wasn't ever released by itself. Instead, it was bundled together with the vinyl version of their album Going Places. You can buy copies of this by itself without having to buy the LP, but you have to get it through third-party sellers, so Discogs is where you're going to find it. The material on here is alternative mixes, B-sides, and just miscellaneous stuff that appeared on other releases they did. Sadly though, if you do want to listen to it, you're either going to have to listen to it on YouTube or buy the CD, because it is not available for digital purchase or streaming anywhere. As far as the Discog statistics go, the lowest price someone paid for this was $5 even. The highest was $14.99, and the median between that was $10.56. As far as listings go, there are currently none, but like I've said in the past, if you want this album, you should probably throw it on your wish list and jump on it the moment it's available. I of course bought my copy on Discogs, but I only paid $7.50 for it. I'd say if you're a fan of the Yellow Swans or even that album Going Places, this is a nice album to complement it. It's just more noisy, drony stuff from those sessions. It's a fantastic album. The stuff on here is equally as good. Highly recommend checking this out. I'll leave a link to a place where you can listen to it if you're interested. The next album I have for you today, I have Flying Saucer Attacks in Search of Spaces. I can't make a rare CDs video without talking about Flying Saucer Attack again and again and again. Their main stuff is pretty easy to get your hands on, but the miscellaneous other stuff they've put out is a little tricky to get, and this is one of those things. This album is the only live album the band ever released. Initially released in 1996 in New Zealand, but it was only ever put out on the CD format. Eventually in 2017, nearly 20 years later, they finally remastered and reissued the album on digital services and on vinyl. So now you can get it on iTunes, on Amazon MP3, and on Bandcamp, and it sounds way better than this. But as a collector and a massive fan of the band, I had to have the original edition in my collection. As far as the Discog statistics go for the 1996 release, the lowest price paid was an even $10. The highest was $23.67, and the median between that was $12.62. Current listing prices for this go for about $12.99 to $69 even, and some of these are international sellers. I got my copy of this album on Discogs, and I only paid $21.75 for it. Compared to the stats, that's pretty much what you'd be paying for it no matter what. Unless, of course, someone happens to list it for an even cheaper price, but if you're looking to get this, that's probably what you should anticipate paying. This is a great, great album. It's probably the most experimental album in the band's discography, but regardless of if it's accessible or if it's experimental, I love this band to death, and I will buy everything that they put out, no matter what. Staying on the topic of Flying Saucer Attack, I have yet another entry in their discography. I have here a compilation featuring music by them, a band called Maine, and a band called White-Winged Moth, with a title that I can't really pronounce. Mort Vaches. I think that's how you say it.
Mort aux vaches. Mort aux vaches.
This was originally released in 2000 by a label called
Mort aux vaches,
or however you say that, I don't know. The label commissions a bunch of different bands and artists to make some kind of material to be put out on the label. The material can be whatever they want, experimental, accessible, whatever. The idea is they make music and then the label will press these really nicely packaged albums in limited quantities to be released. Much like that last album, the stuff on here is some of Flying Saucer Attack's experimental work, and the other stuff on here is even more experimental. Weirdly enough, you can buy the digital version of this album on Amazon MP3, but you can't get it on Bandcamp or iTunes. As far as the Discog listings go, the lowest price someone paid for this was $13.33. The highest was an even $50, and the median between that was $25.56. Current listing prices for this go for about $25 to $27.78, and one of these is an international listing. Once again, I got my copy of this on Discogs, and I only paid about $23.50 for it. $23 is probably a good price for this. $30 might have been my max amount that I would have spent. I definitely would not have spent $50 on it. I would have kept that in the watch list and waited for something to come up that was cheaper. Like I said with the last album, I love Flying Saucer Attack. I will buy every single thing they will put out, even if they put out 4 tracks on some random compilation that has other people's work on it. If I can get it physically, I will get it. The next album I have for you today, I have The Replacements' Tim, more specifically, the reissue. Now I know I said I wouldn't be talking about reissues unless of course they're rare. This is one of those examples. For some odd reason, the 2008 reissue of this album, which originally came out in 1985, is a lot harder to get. And it's funny because Rhino is the label that put this out. Rhino is notorious for doing a lot of reissues of older albums, and reissues serve the purpose of bringing out rare and hard to find CDs and making them easy to get. But for some reason, this one's hard to get. The reissue not only features the original album tracks remastered, but it also features 6 bonus tracks, and most of these are just acoustic and alternate takes of stuff from the original album. Regardless, it's a fantastic listen. You can easily get it on iTunes and Amazon MP3, but if you want to buy the physical version, you're going to have to do some hunting. I'd be curious if you can get this easily at a Rhino record store, but I wonder how many of those even exist anymore. As far as the Discog statistics go, the lowest price someone paid for this was a mere $2. The highest was $49.95, and the median between that was an even $30. Current listing prices for this go for about $31.99 to $77.67, and some of these are international listings. I got my copy from, you guessed it, Discogs, and I only paid $22.69. That's probably a little bit more money than I usually would like to pay for a reissue, but looking at those stats, it's not $50. In fact, I actually had this on my watch list for a few months, waiting for somebody to list this at a pretty reasonable price, and the moment I saw the one that I bought, I jumped on it. But I love this album so very much. It's my second favorite Replacements album next to Let It Be. I know it sounds lame, but I really wanted this for the bonus tracks, and I wanted to hear what the remaster sounded like. But you know what? I'm a collector, totally worth it. Love this album to death. The next album I have for you today, I have The Black Dogs, Music for Real Airports. Woof. The Black Dog is an amazing ambient electronica band based in the UK. This album was originally released in 2010, and it's one of the group's many, many works. They've released material that's just your standard EDM, they've done some IDM stuff, and they've even done just your standard ambient stuff. As the title of this suggests, it's a nod to Brian Eno's famous album Ambient 1, Music for Airports. It's a much more modern take on it, incorporating field recordings taken from an actual airport, and it's not nearly as minimal as Eno's album. There's a lot of stuff going on in it, but that's what makes it such an amazing and engaging listen. This is something I actually think I would want to listen to while walking around an airport. What makes this album rare is it was never released in the US. It only got an official release in the UK and Japan. That being said, you can get this easily on iTunes, Amazon MP3, and on Bandcamp. But if you want a physical copy of this, you have to import it. As far as the Discog statistics go, the lowest price someone paid for this was $6.20. The highest was $18.78, and the median between that was $10.26. Current listing prices for this go for approximately $9 to $13.33, and all of these are international listings. I got my copy of this on Discogs, and I paid about $20 for it. Now that seems like kind of a high price, and to an extent it is, but the price I paid also included the shipping, and since I'm in America, it was sort of a higher shipping rate. Plus, at the time when I was in the market for this album, they were selling a lot of promo editions for significantly cheaper, but I didn't want a promo edition. I wanted the real deal. And I finally have it, and it's totally worth it. This is an amazing album, a very lovely tribute to Brian Eno. Absolutely worth checking out if you're a fan of ambient music. The next album I have for you today, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, so I apologize if I butcher it. I have an album by a dude named HOEDh. HOEDh. Someone on the internet can correct me, please help.
HOEDh.
This is another obscure ambient album that was originally released in 1993. Like that Black Dog album, this never got an official US release. Instead, it was only released in Germany, which is this dude's home country. And to go even further, you can't buy this on iTunes, on Amazon MP3, or on Bandcamp. So if you want to listen to it, you're gonna have to either look for it on YouTube or pirate it, or just buy a copy of it somewhere. As far as the Discog stats go, the lowest price someone paid for this was $14.95. The highest was an even $40, and the median between that was $24.72. Current listing prices for this go for approximately $18.99 to $29.99. I got my copy of this on Discogs. and I paid an even $26 for it. Once again, that one seems pretty standard. I definitely wouldn't have paid any more than that. My max probably would have been $30. I try to avoid going for albums that are priced pretty high up there unless it's something I absolutely want. And seeing that I love ambient music and it was under that $30, I went for it. I will leave a link to a place where you can check this album out. It's absolutely worth checking out. Again, if you're a fan of ambient music, some of the best stuff I've ever heard. The next album I have for you today, I have Swans, Public Castration is a Good Idea. Yep. I knew you would make a face. This is one of Swans' many live albums, and it was recorded during the time they were making some of the most brutal no-wave music ever. It was originally released on vinyl in 1986, and eventually it was reissued on CD in 1999. But that was the last time it was ever issued on physical format, and since then it's gone out of print. You can buy the digital version on iTunes, Amazon MP3, and their Bandcamp, but physical editions, they're pretty expensive. As for the Discog stats, the lowest price someone paid for this was $34 even. The highest was $55.56, and the median between that was $43.11. Current listing prices for this go for about $35 even to about $48 even. I got my copy at Amoeba San Francisco, not Discogs this time, and I paid $40 for it. I could have opted out and just bought the CD for a little bit cheaper on Discogs, but the main reason I did get it was I saw it in the store and I grabbed it. As I've said in previous videos, sometimes you find these rare items in record stores and you just go for it. It's not too often you see them out in the wild, so you just seize the opportunity. But the other reason I got this album is this is considered the band's most unapologetically brutal material they've ever done. It is noisy, it is rough, it is just this chaos of noise and anger. It is an amazing experience. And I'm not even usually a fan of live albums, but this one was an exception. So if you happen to find this in a record store, I highly recommend grabbing it. But if you're skeptical, go listen to it on their Bandcamp first. You may not like it, but I guess I'm just a freak, and I love stuff like this. And the last things I want to talk about come in pairs. I have The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask soundtracks. I've talked about both of these albums in my video game vlog, and the reason I bring them up on this video is, well, they're rare, but I want to talk about how much they're actually worth. These particular editions are the Japanese releases. Ocarina of Time came out in 1998, and Majora's Mask came out in 2000. Both albums did get an official US release, but both of their packaging is completely different from their Japanese releases, and some of them have a significantly shorter track listing, but even those editions are considered rare. And sadly, there are no services online to where you can buy both these albums digitally. You're better off going on YouTube and just listening to it there. For the Discog stats, I am going to be talking about these particular Japanese releases. So starting off with Ocarina of Time, the lowest price someone paid for this was $57.50. The highest was $133.28, and the median between that was $85.19. Current listing prices for this go for about $78.74 to $487.25, and these are all international listings. Now for the Majora's Mask soundtrack, the lowest price someone paid for this was $144, the highest was $144, and the median between that was $144. Current listing prices for this go for about $106.27 to $144, and these are all international listings. Now, where did I get my copies of these? Well, I got them both from third-party sellers on Amazon.com, and as far as how much I paid for them, I don't know. I got them so very long ago, way before I got my Amazon account. I might have even bought these on my dad's Amazon account and just reimbursed him. I must have been a freshman in high school, maybe even in 8th grade when I bought these. But if I think carefully about how much I paid for these, I want to say it was roughly $40. Comparing that price to the statistics, I got it for a bargain. But I had no idea these albums are as rare as they are. I guess I should be glad I got them at that time. Just to rattle off a little bit about them, I love these soundtracks. The Zelda series has some of the best video game music ever made, and these particular soundtracks are shining examples of them. Personally, I love the Majora's Mask one just a little bit more. I'm a little biased because it's my favorite video game of all time, but the stuff on this one is also classic. They're both solid soundtracks. I highly recommend listening to them if you have not done so already, for whatever reason. And play the games if you haven't either. They're considered classics, and they're the best. Alrighty then, Internet, that does it for me. Thank you so very much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It'll show me the support and I'll love your face for it. And you can also follow me on Instagram for even more music. I post a new album on there semi-frequently, talk a little bit about it, and it gives you a bit of an insight of what else is in my collection. So, thank you all so very much for watching. I'm gonna go eat some popcorn. This is Olin from What I'm Listening To, signing out. Goodbye.